were married, but this is not about our marriages anymore. It is so important to overturn Prop 8 because of the future of young gay and lesbian people that might want to get married, same-sex couples, but also because it makes us afraid to live in California if you can gut the Constitution by a sheer majority vote.
Hello, my name is Gardner. I was born here in California, and I was conceived by artificial insemination by a lesbian mother and a gay father, raised in the most loving and supportive family that I could ever ask for. In fact, my friends are even jealous that I had so many moms. And I'm here to plead with you that you do not enshrine discrimination, because as I grew up, I was wondering why my parents didn't have the same rights as my friends' parents. I hope that you can think about this very long and very hard, and you make sure that the coming generations don't have to deal with any type of discrimination and equality for all. Thank you.
My name is JoAnn Lulin, and you heard my son speaking earlier. I just want to say that I was a lesbian, and I still identify as a lesbian. However, I had my son by insemination, and I was never able to marry my woman lover partner.
All people in this state deserve to be protected under the state's constitution.
When I was very little, my grandmother used to tell me, don't tell them you're Native American. You never know when your rights will be taken away. I will not, as a mother, ever be put in that position to tell my children they cannot be who they are.
My husband, Tom, and I have been married for 31 years, recognized by the state for 5 months.
When my son was 14 and I was single again, I fell in love with a man, and ever since I've been with that man, millions of people say, are you going to marry him? Are you going to marry him? Are you going to marry him? Because guess what? They could never say that when I was with a woman. Because the reason they asked me that is because they know I could never marry my woman partner, and my son was raised in a household where his parents couldn't be married.
As a minister within my tradition, I would like the same honor to be able to perform religious and legally sanctioned ceremonies for same-sex couples. My faith tradition calls me to understand that all people have inherent worth and dignity and should be treated with equality.
I'd just like to say in August, I married my husband. He's a Chinese American. I wouldn't have been able to marry him 60 years ago.
As a grandchild of a grandmother who was legally not allowed to marry, as a Mexican woman, her white boyfriend during World War II. She had to pretend that she was white so that she could marry my grandfather. This is an issue about choice.
Because marriage is marriage is about being with the person who is irreplaceable to you. They're irreplaceable to you. So 60 years ago, perhaps someone would say, well, Allison, I know you love this man, but I'm sorry, it's not legal. Choose somebody else. Well, he's irreplaceable. Same situation for so many people here.
Even though I can be married now, it does not mean that I want to be or do, but I have a choice that my lesbian and gay friends, family, and myself did not have for many, many, many years.
I happen to be a straight person, Catholic, served in the military, from a conservative city, from an ethnic culture that has not been open to homosexuality. And 10 years ago, I did not support marriage equality. Today, I'm a proud co-author of H.R. 5. I was honored to have voted each and every time for Senator Leno's marriage equality bill. And to me, the issue is pretty simple. It's about love. And you're not going to see the words love in the government code or the Constitution, and that's precisely the point, because government ought not to be regulating the most sacred private parts of free-loving individuals. And I love my wife. She is the love of my life. But there is no reason that that love takes any precedence over Senator Ammiano's love for the love of his life, or John Perez's love for the love of his life. There's nothing particular about my love that qualifies my wife and I to get a piece of paper that says marriage that Tom Ammiano can't get for the love of his life. And really, at the end of the day, when you talk about the human condition, and whether you believe love flows from Jesus Christ, as I do, or from Yahweh, or from Allah, or if you're a non-believer because it's part of the human condition, you believe, all of us here, that love is the most sacred thing we have as human beings. Life is not worth living without love. And for government to pick winners and choosers and losers as to which love qualifies for what is the ultimate offensive notion of what we are all about. And today, the issue is not so much, whether your belief system or my belief system. It's, do you believe government should regulate in this most sacred area? And my view is that government should not pick winners and losers. We need to treat everybody equally, and government should stay their hell out of regulating our sacred private existence.
All right, now we'll proceed to the opponents.
I am here to voice my opposition to this resolution. There are many more critical, important matters that the body should be focusing on.
I'm here to express my belief system, which is based on Bible.
That marriage is between a man and a woman.
God sanctioned and blessed.
Traditional marriage between a man and a woman and a traditional family is a fundamental unit of our society.
Pastors of Compton have come to me and said, Lydia, help us coordinate because we do not want this to be overturned.
I just pray that my vote counts.
The majority of Californians has spoken.
It's 52%. So what does that mean? Does it mean that it's minority versus majority or vice versa?
We cannot allow the minority to rule against the people.
I believe we live in a democracy.
It is upsetting to me, first of all, that trampling of the democracy that's happened.
And I would like to ask that you would please uphold the will of the people.
Uphold the will of the people.
Please uphold the will of the people.
Will of the people.
I want you to have that one man and one woman only can marry. Thank you.
We ought to be riveted on what Proposition 8 means. And it means to me that if a simple majority is allowed to take away a right of a minority and enshrine that discrimination in our Constitution, no one's fundamental rights are safe.
Perception of proponents of Proposition 8 that democracy is not working if the will of the majority is not honored. And that represents a fundamental misunderstanding of how we live in a democracy that is built upon a constitutional system and a constitutional framework. In other words, the will of the majority cannot override the fundamental civil rights, constitutional rights of a minority. That's what the foundation of this country is. That is what is at issue before the court and before this legislature, and that is what must be respected. So I just want to encourage those whose will may not be upheld by the Supreme Court or by this body to recognize that that doesn't represent a violation of democratic rights, but rather the very upholding of a democracy that is built on a constitution that protects minority rights.
Call the roll.
Fear.
Aye.
Aye. Tran. Tran, no. Brownlee. Brownlee, aye. Evans. Evans, aye. Jones.
If the Supreme Court rules against us and upholds it, what they're doing is they're really ruling for themselves out of a job, because that means that 51% of the California public can overturn the will of the Supreme Court and the rulings. And so it's unconstitutional, and it means rule by mob rule. They could get rid of unions. This is not about marriage equality anymore, this case. The case coming up is absolutely about the Constitution and the protection of people, not just minorities.